My wife left me for my best friend. So I taught them a lesson they'd never forget. I used to believe in love. I used to believe that when two people promised to be together forever, they meant it. That marriage was built on trust, loyalty, and the unshakable certainty that no matter what happened, you had someone in your corner. I don't believe that anymore. Because the people I trusted most, the two people I thought would always be in my life, took that belief and crushed it. This isn't just a story about betrayal. It's about what happens after. When you decide that being the fool once was enough. And that if they're going to play dirty, so are you. Emily and I had been married for 4 years. We had met in college, one of those classic love stories where two people just click. She was beautiful, kind, and had a way of making even the most ordinary moments feel special. I thought I had hit the jackpot. Then there was Ryan. My best friend since high school. He had been there through everything, first loves, first heartbreaks, failed jobs, drunken nights where we swore we'd never let life change us. He was the kind of guy you could trust with anything. Or so I thought. Ryan got married 2 years after me, to a woman named Claire. We were a perfect group, two couples navigating adulthood together. Dinners, vacations, weekend getaways. It felt like we were all building something together. I never once questioned it. Why would I? My wife loved me. My best friend had my back. Until one day, they didn't. Looking back, the signs were there. Emily started dressing up more, even when we were just going over to Ryan and Claire's house for a casual dinner. She started laughing a little too hard at his jokes, finding excuses to be near him. Ryan, on the other hand, became more comfortable making jokes at my expense, little things, subtle digs that made me feel small. I chalked it up to stress. Work had been intense for both of us, and I assumed Emily was just trying to keep things fresh. Ryan had always been competitive with me, so his jokes weren't anything new. I ignored the late-night texts Emily would quickly dismiss. I ignored the way Ryan would change the subject whenever I brought up anything related to his marriage. I ignored the nagging feeling in my gut telling me something was off. Because I loved them. And when you love someone, you don't want to believe they're capable of stabbing you in the back. Until the day I saw it with my own eyes. It was Claire who told me. She called me one afternoon, her voice shaking. She didn't ask how I was doing. She didn't bother with small talk. I need you to come to this address. Now. I almost didn't go. Because deep down, I already knew what I was about to find. I drove to a hotel on the other side of town, my hands gripping the wheel so tight my knuckles turned white. My heart pounded in my chest, a sickening rhythm that only got louder as I pulled into the parking lot. And then I saw them. Emily and Ryan, stepping out of the hotel together, laughing. She reached for his arm, and he pulled her close, pressing a kiss to her temple like it was the most natural thing in the world. Like he had done it 1,000 times before. My world stopped. Everything around me faded, and for a moment, I felt nothing. Just emptiness. Then came the rage. A fire so hot and consuming that I had to grip the steering wheel to keep from getting out of the car and tearing him apart right there in the parking lot. But I didn't. Because at that moment, something clicked in my brain. They thought they had won. They thought I was just some clueless fool who would never catch on. So I did something I never thought I was capable of. I waited. I let them believe their secret was safe. And then I started planning. That night, I went home and acted normal. I kissed Emily when she came in, pretending not to notice the faint scent of cologne that wasn't mine. I laughed when she told me about her day, nodding at all the right moments. She had no idea. Ryan, too, remained blissfully unaware. When we all met up that weekend for a double date, he was as cocky as ever, joking about how I was too soft when it came to relationships, how I trusted too easily. Claire barely touched her food. She kept glancing at me, waiting for me to react. I didn't. Because I had a plan. The first step. Gathering evidence. Over the next few weeks, I became a detective in my own marriage. I checked phone records, found receipts for restaurants and hotels I had never been to, scrolled through messages when Emily left her phone unattended. What I found made me sick. They had been sneaking around for over a year. A year of secret meetings, excuses, stolen moments while I was at work, while Claire was running errands, while we were all supposed to be friends. I wanted to confront them immediately. But that would have been too easy. They didn't deserve easy. They deserved to watch their lives fall apart. And I was going to make sure that's exactly what happened. I started playing the part of the distant husband. I stopped initiating conversations. I stayed late at work. I let Emily think that maybe she was getting away with it. At the same time, Claire did her part. She started acting colder toward Ryan, making him believe she was pulling away on her own. She let him think that maybe, just maybe, he was in the clear. And while they got comfortable, I got to work. Heavy checkmark. I gathered every piece of evidence I could find, texts, emails, phone records. Heavy checkmark. I made copies of our shared bank accounts, ensuring Emily wouldn't get a cent more than she deserved. Heavy checkmark. I found the perfect moment to expose everything. That moment? Ryan's birthday party. A surprise party Emily had planned for him. A party where all our friends, our families, everyone they cared about would be in one place. They had betrayed me in secret. I was going to humiliate them in public. And the best part? They had no idea what was coming. The day of the party arrived faster than I expected. I had spent the last few weeks carefully laying the groundwork, making sure every piece was in place. I had gathered all the evidence, screenshots of their messages, hotel receipts, even a few voice recordings of Emily talking to Ryan on the phone when she thought I wasn't around. Claire had done her part too. She had played the distant, exhausted wife, making Ryan believe she was simply drifting away from their marriage on her own. Meanwhile, she had been feeding me more information, helping me craft the perfect moment to set everything on fire. And tonight? Tonight was the night. The party was at Ryan's house. Claire had planned it, pretending to be the loving wife who wanted to celebrate her husband with all their closest friends and family. Emily was practically glowing when we arrived, her arm wrapped around mine like we were still the perfect couple. She had no idea I knew. Neither did Ryan. They thought they were in control. They had no idea what was coming. The house was packed with people, friends, co-workers, even Ryan's parents. Laughter filled the air, drinks flowed freely, and everyone was in a celebratory mood. Ryan, of course, was the center of attention, basking in the spotlight as he always did. Emily stayed close to him, but not too close, just enough that I could see the little glances they exchanged, the inside jokes whispered under their breath. I let them enjoy it. Because in just a few minutes, everything was going to change. Claire tapped her glass, calling for everyone's attention. All right, everyone. First of all, thank you all for being here to celebrate my wonderful husband's birthday. Ryan, you are an amazing man, and I wanted to make sure this night was truly special for you. So, I have a surprise. The crowd cheered, clapping as Ryan grinned, loving the attention. Emily smiled beside him, probably thinking Claire had bought him some expensive gift. She had no idea that the real gift was the truth. Claire turned to me, her expression unreadable. Gabriel? Would you like to do the honors? I nodded, pulling my phone from my pocket and tapping the screen. And then, the room fell silent. Because suddenly, over the speakers, Emily's voice filled the air. I don't even feel guilty about it anymore. He's just weak, you know. Gabriel doesn't excite me. Not like you do. Someone gasped. The recording continued. I love you, Ryan. I wish I could just be with you without all this sneaking around. And then, Ryan's voice. Soon, babe. Claire will give up eventually. And Gabriel? He'll never see it coming. The weight of the words hung in the air like a bomb waiting to go off. Emily turned white as a ghost. Ryan's face froze in horror. People started whispering. Some looked at me, others at Claire. But most were staring at the two people who had just been exposed in front of everyone they knew. Ryan finally moved first. This is a joke, right? Some kind of prank? I tilted my head. You tell me, Ryan. You seemed pretty confident that I'd never see it coming. Emily grabbed my arm, her voice shaking. Gabriel, please. I stepped back. Don't. Just don't. Claire folded her arms. So, Ryan. Anything you'd like to say to your loving wife? Ryan opened his mouth, but no words came out. Because there was nothing he could say. The evidence was right there. The betrayal was undeniable. The perfect life they thought they had. Gone in an instant. The silence in the room was suffocating. People stood frozen, eyes darting between Emily and Ryan, their faces shifting from shock to disgust as the weight of what they had just heard sank in. Emily's grip on my arm tightened as she desperately tried to regain control. Gabriel, please, let's talk about this privately. I pulled my arm free. Privately? Like how you handled our marriage privately? Like how you slept with my best friend privately? My voice was calm, but sharp. No, Emily. You don't get privacy anymore. Her face crumbled. Ryan finally snapped out of his shock, turning to Claire with wide, pleading eyes. Babe, listen. Claire laughed, an actual laugh, like she couldn't believe his audacity. You really think I'm still, babe, after that? The room murmured with low whispers, people shifting uncomfortably, trying to process what they had just witnessed. Ryan's parents looked mortified, his mother covering her mouth with her hand. Friends who had known us for years suddenly couldn't even look at Emily. Everything they had built, every little lie they had told, it all shattered in an instant. And I wasn't done. I stepped forward, taking my time, letting them feel the weight of every second of this humiliation. See, I could have just confronted you both in private, I said, gesturing between them. But that would have been merciful. And after seeing just how long you two were sneaking around behind our backs. I let out a humorless chuckle. Mercy isn't really on the table. Ryan ran a hand through his hair, his usual confidence gone. He looked around the room, at the guests he had invited to celebrate him, at the people who had once admired him. Now. They were disgusted. Claire wasn't done either. She reached into her bag and pulled out a folder. By the way, she said, her voice deceptively casual. Ryan, I had a lawyer draft these up last week. Consider yourself officially served. Ryan blinked, his hands shaking as he took the papers. Divorce, he choked out. Oh, you thought I'd stick around after this? Claire smirked. Enjoy your new life, lover boy. Someone in the back snickered. Ryan turned to Emily, panicked. It's fine. We can. Emily stepped away from him. Ryan, she looked at me. Gabriel, please. I made a mistake, but. I shook my head. No. A mistake is forgetting an anniversary. A mistake is saying something you regret in the heat of an argument. You made a choice, over and over again. For an entire year. Emily burst into tears. Ryan. He just stood there, breathing hard, face red, fists clenched. But there was nothing either of them could do. I had already won. Emily's sobs filled the room, but no one rushed to comfort her. Ryan looked lost, his hands gripping the divorce papers like they might somehow change reality. His entire persona, the confident, untouchable best friend, the guy who always had the upper hand, was crumbling right in front of me. And I enjoyed every second of it. I could have ended it there. I could have walked away, knowing they would spend the rest of the night, and the rest of their lives, dealing with the consequences of their own actions. But I had one more move left to make. I turned to Ryan, lowering my voice just enough that only he could hear me. "By the way," I said, "you might want to check your bank account soon." His head snapped up. "What the hell does that mean?" I smiled. "Just a little housekeeping. See, Claire and I had a feeling you weren't just cheating in your personal life, you were probably being reckless in other ways too." Ryan's face drained of color. Because the truth was, he had been. Claire and I had spent the last few weeks going through financial records. Ryan had a joint account with Claire, one she had legal access to. And while he had been sneaking around with Emily, he had also been reckless with money. Weekend getaways, expensive gifts, he thought no one would notice. So Claire did what any wronged wife with legal access to a shared bank account would do. She emptied it. Every last cent. And Ryan? Now he had nothing. "You're lying," Ryan growled, stepping closer. I shrugged. "Check for yourself." His hands fumbled for his phone. He tapped at the screen, scrolling, his breathing getting heavier with every second. And then... No. His outburst made everyone turn. His face was red, his hands shaking. "Where the hell is my money?" Claire crossed her arms. "Consider it repayment for emotional damages." Someone in the crowd laughed. Ryan looked like he was about to explode. Emily, still crying, reached out to him. "Ryan, please, let's just..." "Shut up, Emily," he snapped, shoving her hand away. Oh, that was perfect." I let out a slow breath, soaking it all in. Emily and Ryan, turning on each other. Claire, calm and collected, walking away from this mess richer and smarter. Me? I was just done. I straightened my jacket, turning toward the door. "Well. This has been fun." Emily's voice broke through the tension. "Gabriel, wait. Please." I glanced back. Her face was red, her eyes filled with desperation. The realization was finally sinking in. She had lost everything. "You don't have to do this," she whispered. "We can fix this." I stared at her for a long moment. And then, I laughed. "Emily, there's nothing left to fix." And with that, I walked out. I didn't look back. Not even once. I didn't go home right away. Instead, I drove. No destination, no plan, just the road, the night air, and the strange mix of emotions settling in my chest. For weeks, I had been living for this moment. The reveal. The humiliation. The perfect revenge. And now that it was over, I felt lighter. Not happy, not exactly. There was nothing satisfying about realizing that the two people you trusted most had been betraying you for over a year. But there was something freeing about knowing that I was finally done with them. No more lies. No more pretending. Just me, moving forward. And speaking of moving forward, my phone buzzed. Claire. I pulled into a gas station and answered. "How does it feel?" she asked. I smirked. "Like I can breathe again." "Good," she said. "Because I just booked a flight. First class, with my new money." I laughed. Claire really won. "Where are you headed?" I asked. "Not sure yet," she admitted. "Somewhere far. Somewhere warm. Somewhere that doesn't remind me of my idiot ex-husband." "Sounds like a plan." She hesitated. "You should come with me." That caught me off guard. "Claire." Not like that, she cut in. I just mean, we've both been through hell. Maybe we deserve a break. I thought about it. For the first time in a long time, I had no obligations. No wife waiting at home. No friend pretending to have my back. Just me. And maybe a fresh start didn't sound so bad. I smiled. Text me the details. And just like that, I drove off, towards something new. 1 year later. A lot can change in a year. Claire and I had parted ways after that trip, but we still kept in touch. She was thriving, living her best life, free from the mess Ryan had dragged her into. As for me, I started over. New city. New job. A life that didn't revolve around people who didn't deserve me. I heard bits and pieces about Emily and Ryan. They tried to make it work for a while, probably out of desperation. But trust is a funny thing. When you build a relationship on lies and betrayal, it's only a matter of time before it crumbles. Last I heard, Emily was alone, struggling to keep up with bills she once had me covering. And Ryan? Turns out he wasn't as smooth as he thought. People in his industry found out what he did, not just the affair, but the financial mess Claire exposed. His reputation never recovered. Karma has a way of handling things. And me? I don't think about them much anymore. I'm too busy living.